Hello. Welcome. I don't know what I'm doing. Disclaimer. I'm running on very little sleep from over the last, 5 days? 4 or 5 days? Um, that being said, a couple of my friends got me this video game that I've kind of been stoked about called Magnolia, which is from the Ender series. Oh, do we? We do. Thanks.
There we go. It hasn't done that in a while, is the thing. And I just forgot to check. But it's okay. Voice Mod said, it's time to party. Yeah. Hello stars, hello Emmy. Yeah, I'm running on very little sleep right now. But a couple of my friends picked up Ender Magnolia for me, which is part of the Ender series. Of which we have played the only other game that is in the series at the moment, which was Ender Lilies. Or Ender Lily, excuse me. Ender Lilies? Whatever. Good game. Good Metroidvania style game that I very, very much enjoyed. Because it's got good music, and the art style is really pretty, and the story was lovely and sad. But it was really fun. And I deserve a nice thing. So we're playing a game today that I want to play. Not that I don't want to play any of the other games that we have on the docket, I want to play this. So that's what we're doing. What of it? I don't know where my face needs to go for this game right now. Is part of the thing. But sorry, I just saw that Stars posted a clip. Thank you for that. Yeah, a nice little game treat. As the content warnings say in chat, we don't have any content warnings. Nobody has filled out a page for this yet. So the Does the Dog Die page is there. It exists now. But there's nothing. And the store page also doesn't state anything. So if it's anything like the first game, probably just not cartoon violence, but depictions of violence, maybe some blood. It shouldn't be that bad, probably. I don't know, but heads up on that. To Ender Magnolia. Yeah, that. Yeah, I'm just gonna hit start and we're gonna start because I want to play this video game. Hey! Why? I know my controller's been disconnected. It's because you weren't responding. There it goes. I think the issue was that I was clicked out of the window. It's fine. Yeah, create new save data, please. Oh, not that button. Surprise, we're actually playing Signalis right now, is what's happening. Yeah, no, very moody. I'm alive. Yeah, you are. It's okay. I wonder if the lady in the cutscene... No, don't skip scene! Happened. Can't remember. I wonder if the lady that we saw in the cutscene was Lily. Forgotten something. Or someone. Someone important. I don't know, like, how directly connected the games are, but, you know. What is this place? Jump. And, okay. I'm gonna turn video game down just a smidge more. Because that cutscene was loud. Okay. Born experiment log. Scrapped homunculi. Over 1,400. Tuned to transport homunculi. Insufficient. Number of specimens scrapped per month. Decreasing. Contact research facility. Okay, cool. But there is flop tech! We flop. It's not as good. It's smoother than the original, like the first game. But it's not quite as silly. Still good though. Love some good flop tech. This looks useful. Ground in water. Restores Lilac's HP. Floopin' even. While uses are limited, they can be replenished at respites. Charmed Magicite, stored within an Argentine vial, responds to the bearer, invoking a barrier of healing. We heal. Press L1 to recover health. Makes sense. Cool. Right? Lilac is cute. It's a cute name. I like it. She flopped. Oh! Well... You okay, buddy? Okay. Poor dude. Just the subterranean testing site. Oh, there's a guy up there. Hi. Can I help you? There's a guy there. What's here? Okay, I do have big map. My face is covering the mini map. Do we care? You want me down here? You want me up here? I'll probably be pulling it up anyway. Ugh. Not important. You don't need to know where we're going. It's okay if I'm over the mini-map? Okay. Good deal. I mean, it's, like, the least important thing for y'all to see. But I definitely will be pulling it up like this. So, like, you'll get an idea every so often. Sprint. I gotta flop first? Gotta flop before you sprint. Everyone knows that. Running jump. Great. Perfect. 10 out of 10. Oh, we're hurt. Yeah, go ahead and heal. That's fine. Ugh. Can't go that way. Understood. What's this? Hi, Saimu. Homunculus? It isn't moving. Has its magic been exhausted? I mean, it appears to have been stabbed. We should take the sword. Eyes that yearn for death. No, eyes that do not fear death. Seem familiar. Are you not frightened by me? Be not afraid. Aw. What's to be afraid of? Been around homunculi since I was little. You're still little. Lilac, I hate to break it to you, babe. You're still little. Lend me your power, then. Touch of magic should allow me to liberate myself. Do we wanna? In turn, I will aid in your survival. Since I was small. Thank you, by the way, Stars, for the play-by-play of the last of the movie from last night. What a experience. I'm sad I missed it. Yeah, like you're still a small being. You're still so small. You're just a little guy. Oh. I like how tender these games can be. Is this fine? You good? You, however, have one condition. I have to beat you first? What is it? You think I would devour you? You just nod? Yeah, it sure was a movie. We can speak further once we have escaped this dreary pit. I assume you'd rather not linger either. Okay. Nola! Enigmatic combat homunculus that had been abandoned at the subterranean testing site. She exudes an ancient, noble aura, most unlike the labor homunculi in the lower stratum. Nola's joined our side! We can make use of her abilities. Yeah. Okay. Yes! Ah! Sorry. I lacked little movements when Nola attacks. It's just very good. I appreciate how much smoother the just the animations are in this by comparison to the first one. Not that the first one was like bad. I adored it. But it's really cute. Her full name is Granola. I love Granola. Hey, get him, Granola. She can't attack up. Everyone knows Granola can't look up. Not an issue. Can I? That looks like it would be a secret. I don't know that I can jump that far, though. Definitely not. Granola is a great name. We love Granola here. Okay, sorry. I'm very excited. It can be found in multiple locations. Save your game. Replenish Lilac's HP and heals. Yeah, cause previously. It's bonfire. Little pools of water. They're just bonfires. And we can also rewatch cutscenes. Okay. Spirit Piercer. Sword that deals quick attacks in close range. Consecutive inputs perform a combo attack. Yeah. Old blade passed down to the executioner of House Milius. Transformation mechanism is built into it. Oh? You don't say. There's that cutscene. Oh, look at them. Hold on. Look. Excuse me, I'll just take a screenshot because this is adorable. Fuck, I love these games. Just very good. That guy is actually dead. Let's go up first. So we can loop around and, like, close what we've already found, right? Yeah. And there's still stuff in this room, hence why it's gray. Give me. Please, go up. Actually, maybe I do want to go the other way first. like the lower left area. It's fine. It's fine. I can explore later. Okay. Guys are gonna jump at us now. We know. We've learned. Excuse you. Hello. Get that nerd out of here. Just duck under. Nothing can get you if you just duck. Hey, do you want to jump up there? No. No, she does not. Sorry. I really like the soundtrack. It's good music. Wait, don't go into the poison, you fool! Yeah, absolute dweebus. Can only get him on the upswing. That's fine. It's locked. Listen, sometimes you just gotta yell about people being fools. You know? It's fine. Hey, another rest spot. Difficulty. Change the game's difficulty. Difficulty affects the amount of fragments. Yeah. I'll just keep... Okay, cool. Nice to know that I could do that if I want to have a bad time later on. Maybe I do. Who knows? Well, this looks like there's gonna be a boss fight. Hi, who are you? Bloody HP gauge is a gauge that represents break damage. Okay. Yeah. You deplete that, they stagger. It's great. Lito? I am going to kill the child test subject. Or they're gonna kill me first. Oof. They can turn around quick. What are you doing? No punch. Oof. Yeah, let's get out of there. Please and thank you. I don't think that should be allowed. Oh, it's fine. Rip. Hey, we leveled up. Oh. I mean, I don't feel great about it. Don't leave me. Okay. Perhaps I can help. Touch! No. You fixed me? See the outside. All of us. It's all we wanted. Well, I'm gonna cry. As we progress. It's gonna be one of those games. Cool. Discarded test subject from a homunculus processing plant. He was one of many homunculi that were exposed to the fumes as part of an experiment to observe how long they could withstand its effects before turning rabid. As the fumes took hold, hordes of homunculi tore through one another, climbing the resulting pile of corpses in a frenzied bid to escape. Leto survived by being buried beneath the pile. Oh, baby. Lido can attack independently of Lilac and Nola. It's possible to activate Lido's ability while attacking with Nola at the same time. Lido requires a cooldown. Okay, cool. Lido Punch. And that's neat, I think. Can I? No. Mine at last, with this free. Subterranean testing site is currently closed and off limits. Okay. Goodness gracious. Okay, let's rest and let's equip Lido. Oh! We can challenge previously tuned bosses at respites. R1. Blazing Fist. Oh, no, don't unequip. Oh god, hold on. There we go. Okay. No! Damn it! Circle to close. Don't do triangle. Okay. Good deal. I should save. Always saving. Okay. Sorry. They're just hanging out. I mean, that happened in the first game too, and it was adorable. You could just like see all your pals, or any of the guys that you had equipped. I mean, we could leave. I probably can't. Realistically, probably can't go much further in the direction that we had gone, right? Ah! Sorry, look at Lido go. Good move. Okay. We'll just kill things along the way, because we like leveling up. It's nice. It's appreciated. Ooh. There we go. Down from here. This is how these kinds of games go for me. I have to unlock all of the map. And like, I know that I'm not gonna be able to get all of it immediately, but I'm definitely gonna try. Ooh, hiccups. Excuse me. Okay, yeah, I need a specific move for that. Wish I had come this way first now, but hey. Maybe I can find whatever's in... No, because I need a double jump. Okay, or some sort of floaty move. Something to get me jumping further. To get what I think is a secret in the other area. So we've come down here for... I don't want to say no reason. But definitely not for anything worthwhile at the moment. Okay, that's fine. I know I'm just gonna keep saying it, but I really like the music. It's lovely. You're making Sketty and have me on the speaker so you can hear me chatting in the other room? Well, good. Hi! Happy Sketty making! I hope it's good, Sketty. Milius, Lab Primus, access restricted. Homunculus Research Log 1. Artificial life forms created through the infusion of magic. They are augmented by Milius arcane smiths and boast high physical capabilities and durability. Although they pose no danger to humans, magic that affects the consciousness is used to ensure homunculi remain true to their purpose. However, these methods require tuning from time to time. Okay. Oop. Hit the wrong button. This is fine. We're allowed to do that. Shudder to think of the inhumane experiments homunculi were subjected to beneath the surface. Oh, look at Lido. Lido? Lido. Do you remember anything at all? The fumes. They drove everyone mad. They hurt each other. I saw you in my memories. Are you Lilac? Yes, I think so. There's undoubtedly a connection here. Do not fret. Your memories will likely resurface in time. In fact, it would appear we all have something we are struggling to recall. I'm certain of one thing, however. You wield a power capable of liberating homunculi. Those with such powers, they're known as attuners. We may be able to find more of your ilk by retracing the memories of homunculi we encounter. 9. Anything over there? Lower Stratum Streets. It's locked. Oh, look at how pretty. Sorry, I will just be taking screenshots every so often. I should turn the sound off for making screenshots. But that requires effort. So, this is the outside world. And that's the upper stratum. That's where the sorcerers, the founders of this nation, creators of homunculi, reside. If I am to discover the truth behind the wretched dreams that haunt me, I sense that is where I must go. To that end, I will not permit you to perish until we are there. Steel yourself, Lilac. I understand. I like the whole, you're not gonna die before we get there. But after that, who fucking knows? My memory is hazy, but before I fell below the surface, someone was desperate to save me. I think I cared about them. I want to know why they were crying. And if this power I have is meant to help homunculi, I want to use it. Alright. I mean, obviously, homunculi are our friends. Even when they're not. They can't help it. Ouch. That is a chainsaw man. Never mind, he's dead. There was a moment of genuine concern, and then it actually turned out that he was a chump. So, you know. It's cool. There's a lot that I can't access here at the moment. Unfortunate. Who's this? Hello? Whoa, what kind of homunculus is that? She looks so old. And who might you be? The arcane smith of the town up ahead? Well, arcane smith in training, I guess. I'm looking to get my hands on some awesome arcane instruments that'll help the whole town. Wait, are you an attuner? Like the one in town some time back? May I inquire where exactly? I don't know. I only heard about it from a partner. Partner? A homunculus with wings. Say, did you happen to see him on your way here? Oh. Anyway, you look like a mess. Help yourself to anything here. Well, that's very nice. Are you sure? There was an attuner who helped me one time. She asked me to help other attuners if I met them. She was the one who set up this little camp and left all this stuff here. You know, you remind me of her. That attuner lady? Oh, there's a mantle here you should take. Looks real handy for an attuner. Thank you, and I hope you find your friend. Say, if you see a homunculus with wings, could you help him out? If you can? Are you not returning home? It isn't safe outside, especially for one so small. I gotta keep collecting junk. That's how we survive in the lower stratum. Well then, I'll see you around. Precious. Okay. The items here may indeed prove useful. And there's also that winged homunculus she mentioned. Aerial jump. Rune inscribed into lilac shoes allows one to jump even while in mid-air. Double jump and a dash. Okay, R2. Cool. Rest. Well, now I want to go back. Also, I can change your outfits! Sorry. I, need to scream, apparently. Relics, equipment, abilities, records. Ah, sorry, the menus are so pretty. Yeah, sometimes you just gotta scream. Welcome back! Hold on a second. What? Okay. Sorry, my dad just got back. Okay. Dash! Okay, cool. I'm glad I don't remember in Quietus of the Night whether or not you got the dash jump, like, super early on. Welcome, Land of Fumes, fueled by magic. At your service. I'm sorry I tried to attack you. Cool. But before I do that, is there anything down here? No. Understood. Trying to see if I could break those barrels. I cannot. Also, I keep getting attacked because I keep trying to dodge too soon. There's not a significant delay, but enough of a delay between when you attack and when you're able to dodge. We'll get used to it. Not too big of a deal. Increases maximum HP by 5! Nice! And that's everything here, apparently. Okay. Whee! Old City Market. Passage through the human settlement of Old City. Authorized. Mutants prowling the outskirts of Old City pose a threat to human life. Remain alert. And you, buddy. Dog okay? There's a dog? Where's the dog? You're not a dog. Little birdie told me there's a homunculus running wild everywhere. What a mess. Wouldn't know, seeing as I ain't ever getting out of here. Okay. I will go in whole, but first, I gotta look at stuff. Dog! There's dog! I see dog. Remarkable. I can hardly believe the lower stratum remains this populated. How is it that humans live on amidst the thick haze of fumes? Arcane instruments is how. Without them, we'd be goners. Name's Gordon. I'm the resident arcane smith around to these derelict parts. Take it the kids in a tuner? Where are your pals? As it so happens, we are presently in search of other attuners, and a way to the upper stratum. Oh, he's short. Can't say I've spotted any attuners in a while. You won't learn much about the upper stratum down here. What about a homunculus with wings? Heard about Yolvin from Levy, did ya? I guess. Yolvin used to keep us safe from the mutants, but that was then. Haven't seen him of late, but there's rumors he's been attacking folks and such. Might be over yonder, down the road, but it ain't safe to get close, you hear? Just watch me. I'll save him. Can you tell me anything more? Maybe an tuner could... Ah, never mind. I really am getting old, thinking of asking a kid. No. Okay, well, he doesn't want to talk to me. I want to talk to dog. You can pet the dog. Oh. Big beast. Down here. Little old lady. It's a team of homunculi out there. You take care now. Times like these, you need to make sure you get plenty of rest. Why not take a break on that sofa there? Thanks! Before I do that, though. Dear sis, happy birthday! Said you wanted a new pillow, so I tried to pluck some of Yolvin's feathers to make one, but kinda got mad. So I'm gonna have to have Gordon teach me how to make arcane instruments for you instead. Levy. We rest. And we can talk to our allies. I can tell you have something on your mind. Best come out with it. We have a long journey ahead of us. It'd be nice to know your names. My name? You may refer to me however you please. We already decided her name was Granola. So. Lido. My name. It's Lido. Hi, Sel. It's okay if you can't stay. I appreciate you popping in and saying hi. I hope you're doing okay. Oh, jeez! Stay safe. Don't explode. And I hope that the storms pass you by with little to no issues. You don't plan to explode? Good. Good, I love to hear it. But yeah, please take care. Yeah. Oh, goodness. My name. It's Lido. Your turn. Or do you not know? Nola. Call me Nola. Voice mod for 5 minutes. I can do that. What voice mods we got? Any, like, Chad voices? I mean... Possibly. Do we consider Baby to be Chad? Let's see. We've got Cute, Magic Chords, Baby, Deep, Echo, Bowtie Billy. I don't know, like, half of these don't really describe anything that makes sense. So that's it. Deep. Alright, let me find my timer.
And, does this work? Do we like this one? Just because Emmy's asking about Bowtie Billy.
This is Bowtie Billy? I can't hear any of them, is the thing.
We'll go back to Deep. What? Is this fine? Are we cool with Deep? Billy is scary. Bowtie Billy will haunt your dreams. Don't worry, my child. I will make Bowtie Billy leave. I'm starting the timer now. All right. Cool. Good deal. Let's go. Is that really your name? The blah blah blah. The markings etched into my arm would suggest as much. Interesting. I love these. I love these guys. Look at them. Look at them.
Okay, let's get out of the menu. Because otherwise I'm just gonna stare at them and be like, precious babies. Oh, I can't flop anymore! They've taken my flop away! I love them already and I feel like I'm gonna cry. No, same. I've been like meaning to replay Underlilies. Like I've been thinking about it a lot and like I've got it on my Switch, so like fortunately I can like play it anywhere and it might be my bedtime game going forward because it's really good. And this one is I do have it on Steam, which is great and fine, like super here for it, but it's like I don't know, I like this series. Yeah. Have we seen anyone alive outside the city? We'd be long dead if it weren't for the arcane instruments warding off the fumes. Oh, okay. Well, man doesn't actually want to hear what I have to say. Taking a peek at where we were and what was happening. Hold on, before we go... Oh, I liked that music, though! Those look like things that I might be able to use later. Okay, right. So we've got the option to go down. We've got the option to go straight ahead. I wanted to check out what was down first. Just more city. Cool. And a tuner. Not something you see often. Just me. Ooh. More health. You'll love to see it. Wonder when Levy and Yolvin will come home. Never. Look at the little baby. Didn't think I would survive when I fell down here, but the townspeople saved me. Got separated from my little sister, though. I wonder if she's up there. How do you have a little sister? You're already so little. Littler sister. Wait, was there... There is a way to go further down, but I don't have access to it at the moment. Okay. That's fine. Alright, let's go back to the space with the cool music. Sense mutants everywhere. Remain alert. Okay. I have been shot! Do not appreciate. Please don't shoot me. I am a baby. Okay, what does this move? Oh, okay, I understand. Can I finish looking around here first? Yeah. I'll just heal up real quick. Try and remember to explode all of the things. Okay, let's go check out that other space before we continue on there with the big boy. Okay. Cannot access that. Door opens from the other side. I don't know if that's true, but... Okay. And we've leveled up. Materials! They can be used to fabricate items. Whoa! Scared me. Okay. Voice mod time is done. That's it. That's all the deep you get.
Alright. Scared you too? Glad it wasn't just me. I don't know how to like because I've got the timer like set up through my stream deck. I don't know how to like decrease the sound. And I know I, like, tried to figure it out at one point. But I think I did a bad job of, like, searching. I, like, didn't really look. And then I forgot about it. I just forgot that that was a redeem that we had. I'll, attempt to remember to address that. Punch him! Well, I don't think the man with the shield should be able to block my attacks. Just saying. Whoa! We can dash and jump. Like, instead of just jumping and then dashing, we can dash and then jump. And that's kind of cool. Go up first. Trying to at least be, like, remotely intelligent about how we're approaching this. I can't get there. Okay. That's fine. My dad was yelling at me. He's going outside. I don't think you should be able to turn around that quickly, my dude. Come on. There we go. I don't have like a shield move or anything at the moment. Hey, more health. Speaking of, let's heal. This. Okay, we have not gone this way. Definitely got myself a little turned around there. It's fine. What's here? Hurt me. I'm nice, actually. Oh, Nola, we gotta turn around. The other way. Okay. Can't unlock that one. Unfortunate. Great. Oops. Not as great. But sometimes you just gotta fall down. What's over here? What new? Sanguinary Raven increases aerial attack damage by 10%. Arcane instrument imparted to Yolvin by his friend Levi. It was crafted under the guidance of Master Arcane Smith Gordon. Most precious gift. And I can't equip it until I get to rest area. I see. Winged homunculus could be close by. Remain alert. Okay. Well, let's open that up. Let's rest here. And yeah, let's equip our relic, because I would like more aerial damage, as I'm want to be jumpy. I like hopping, okay? Is that a problem? Oh, hey. Oh, look at him. It must be the winged homunculus Levi mentioned. I swore to protect them. Ooh. Enemy fall damage. Yeah. Yeah. Enough said. Don't shoot me. No! Too far away. I need the man to stop, dodging my little guy. Oof! Yikes, 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 yikes. Please heal. Got him. First try. Oh god. Okay, hi, hello. I was gonna say, that was awfully easy. No. Oh, fuck. I'm gonna have to do this again. And I'm gonna have to not get hit that first bit because, oh geez, boy just went cleric beast on us. Hold on a second. I need to sit up. We cannot be complacent. You looked cool though. Alright. Yes, I would like to skip the scene. I learned a valuable lesson about saying first try before the man is Listen, Fruity. Man looked dead. Gotta go poke him with a stick before you say first try. We have learned. That was a valuable lesson. You are correct. Hi, friend. How's it going? Mistakes were made. Get him! Okay, this is going much better, at least. And, like, in our defense, for the last one, I, like, you know, I didn't know what his moveset was. Okay. Heal up. No! I am scared. Okay. Okay! Oops. Oh, Lord. It's just that last hit point that matters. Oh, hi. Hi, can I touch? Teach. That's right, I lost myself to the fumes. Let's do that tuning. Oh. I nearly broke another promise. Thanks. I'm in your debt. We met Levy. She asked us to help. And here I thought she needed me. Looks like I had it backwards. Fortunately, I still can't remember much after I lost consciousness. If you're looking for the other attuners, I checked the sealed-off magicite mine. Let's go see Gordon at Old City Market. Sure he'd be willing to help. New friend! New friend! Experimental homunculus that escaped to Old City from the biological research facility in the Central Stratum. Experiments involving animal fusion were conducted on Yulvin by a renowned homunculus researcher who fled a neighboring country that is no more. Yulvin attacks continuously while following Lilac for as long as the button is held. Okay. Ooh. Neat. I mean, I'm gonna have to come back and revisit places. Homunculus just lost it. Can't trust those things. It's okay. First try. Exactly. It is imperative we find the land of origin. The magic of this nation will not last forever, assuming we don't succumb to the blight first. We have successfully proven our theories around the application of magic in replicating and even creating artificial life from nothing. This is now our only hope. Get those guys out of here. Oh! I know where we are. What am I missing here? It says there's a thing here. And by it says there's a thing here, I mean, it indicates that I have not picked up everything that is available. We'll figure it out. It's fine. Don't have to get everything on the first pass. It's fine. It is nice that they have like a guide to point you towards where you need to go. I don't think the first one had that. I mean, like, I don't necessarily mind having to like remember where to go, but it is just like a nice thing to have. Also. Well, I'll be. You brought Yulvin back. You must be one hell of an attuner, kid. You have my thanks. Levy will be downright giddy. Here, suppose you should have this. Lower stratum key. Lower stratum teams with hazardous zones to which citizens of the lower and central stratums are not permitted entry. What is it? The magicite mine. Tethered steeple. This key will let you in there. At your own risk. Thanks. And that there's my homunculus. Man's best friend. Name's Hati. He's perfect and I love him and I want to pet his head more. Used to be up in the central stratum back in the day. Till I painted a target on my back, that is. Hati saved my skin back then. About as reliable as they come. So cute. Rather you be out seeing the world than wasting away with an old fool like me, pup. What do you say, kid? You'd be doing us both a favor. You want to give me dog? You want to give me dog? Emmy. He has butt wings. His butt's got wings. Dug, 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 dug. New friend. Oh, we can fast travel with them. Okay. Mount Hati to travel instantaneously to respites you have previously visited. Cool. Horse dog. I mean, that dog is huge and we are tiny. This tracks. One more thing. Whenever you've got materials on you, stop by this here craftery. I'm an arcane smith after all. Figure I could do you some good. Okay. And I mean, I got stuff. Not a lot of stuff, but excuse me. I'm gonna stretch. Do I not have? No, I have 201. I see. I see where my things are. Okay. I don't want to make... God, excuse me. I don't want to make bangles at the moment. I need to go sit on a bench. I gotta bench sit. And... yeah, that's probably where he fits best. Oh, fuck. Just gonna keep hitting the wrong button forever. You know? Okay, I see. I understand. I guess we'll keep going the way we were going. Let's keep going the way we were going. Oh wait, wait! I can just fast travel. I just got dog, and I already forgot that I got dog. Yeah, I want to go here because there's that place. Thanks, dog. That I should be able to like access with my double jump, right? Get out of here. Well, it's not a lot of experience. It is experience. Fuck! Okay, never mind. Well, at least we have it marked now on our map, and we know what's stopping us from getting in there. Should have figured that we wouldn't be able to come back to this area until, like, later. Probably much later. Just get those new markers out of here. Excuse me. I don't know that I can do anything there just yet. Okay. Let's go here. And we'll just move on ahead. Just press on ahead. Oh, please don't shoot me. I am small. I do not deserve to be hit. I am just baby. Fuck. I do appreciate the fact that you can interrupt your heal. So if you hit the button at a bad time, you can just be like, yeah, actually, not that move. That's nice, I think. am I missing here? Oh, jeez. Definitely something up in that space that I can't get to. Can't take it anymore. Drink before the old city folks notice. Okay. Tavern Bulletin Board. There's been an increase in reports of homunculi turning mutant. As retrieving cores is no longer a feasible endeavor, excuse me, ensure that you maintain a safe distance. Additionally, while we still suffer a deficit of attuners, do remain vigilant with reports. Frost Attuner Squad. Those... You did good making it here, kid, but it ain't safe here either. How about it? Want a drink before you kick the bucket? No, I'm like a baby. No drinks for babies. Goodness gracious. What's here? Sewers. Cool. Don't swim in the sewer. Oh god, he is throwing himself at me. It's fine. Wasn't exactly sure how I was gonna get through that, but it's okay. Alright, I'm also just looking down because I want to make sure I'm not missing anything, and we weren't. Map says so. Ow. There's also nothing here. Hi. Yeah, we can just get there from here. I wanted to make sure that there weren't any shortcuts. I think we can just go straight ahead now. Which is nice. Ugh. Unlock. What is this? Can I not activate this? This elevator appears to be dead. Understood. Shoot him, Yulvin. I have a feeling that I'm going to completely forget to use him. And I say this because I kind of forgot that I had him already. So that's cool. He shoots so many bullets, but his bullets are kind of weak. Like, oh, it does knock him out pretty fast though. Like, it gets rid of their shield really quick. Okay, that might... This is good. Good knowledge, good tech. Also, it's very funny when they fall down and die, so we'll just keep letting them do that for a time. So what's up here? Anything? Ah. Okay, but I want to look around more. Hey! If I can get a save spot, that would be lovely. get rid of his shield. Those guys are really annoying. Ah! You can just attack him from above. Shield boys. They hate that, actually. Understood. There's too many places to go. What are you? Where's my brother? Wait. Wait. Are you the little girl that, the little sister that little guy was looking for? Hey, I don't have any heals. This could be a problem. Fuck. Okay. I was just looking for a save. This should be less horrible this time around because we kind of know what to expect. Yeah, the poor BB. She got thrown around. Where are we? Oh, he's so far away. I mean, it's fine. We're getting experience on our way there, but oh boy. These guys with shields kinda suck a lot, actually. You know, is the thing. We just dodge into that bullet. And I mean, we're getting materials as well, so it's not that horrible. It's not ideal. I also miss flop tech. So we had flops. We had flops for a minute, and then they gave me... I don't want to call it like a silly cape, because it's not. It's a good mantle. It does what I need it to do, which is, you know, double jumps and dodges, and aerial dodges. But got rid of my flops, which, like, flops also weren't as good as they were in the first one, which is fine. Like, it's not the worst. Oh shit! But I miss flops. Flops were just very pleasant and nice and fun. What am I doing? I can just shoot these guys. Okay. So before we go fight Big Boy, we are... Hey, what are you doing? We're gonna try and find a save location. Which, like, I guess there is one up there. Because this is where the fight was, right? Yeah. This is where Yolvin was. So let's rest here. This is gonna be... I could have just fast traveled here. I am a fool. It's fine. Oh my god, look at my friends. Oh my god. Sorry, they're very precious. I'm gonna explode. They're too cute. All of them. Oh my god. Please don't hurt me. Okay. all the complaints about the flop tech aside, this is delightful. Very good. Hey, can we not? Hey, can we not do that? I have exploded. I have died. Okay, that's okay. You know why it's okay? Because we can just get back where we were. There isn't really a penalty to dying, I don't think. Aside from just going back to the last place that you rested. And that's fine. I can cope with that. I get knocked down. I get back up again. Never gonna keep me down. It's just how it is. Alright. Listen. Get that guy out of here. Where are we going? I don't know why I tried to do that. I knew that wasn't gonna go anywhere. Ow. Yeah, I'm trying to... I see what my brain immediately was doing. There does seem to be a thing up... Okay. Okay, there is a thing up there. But I can't access it just yet. That's terrible and sad, I think. Okay, come here. Guy. I do like that it is, like, the icon, or the item icon is on my map now, so I know that I need to go there to pick up an item at some point. Once I, idiot. Where am I? Oh! Oh, hey! Skinny was good? Good. Love to hear it. Warning! Entry prohibited. Hazardous zone ahead. Occupied by homunculi who have declared themselves enemies of Milius. Risk of mutants. Milius homunculus guard corps. And there's another item there. How do I get there? I need to go up, up. Up, 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 up. Yeah, noodle always good. Where did I... Oh, I went down. Okay, I understand. Sorry, I was like, where was Big Robot Man that made my life bad? And he's down. Busketti. Look at your Busketti. It is now worms. Hey, health. Cool, 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 cool. Good deal, good deal. Love Basketti. You know what I also love? Killing a giant robot man that just kicked my ass. Love that. Get away from me. Too many gun guys is the problem with the situation we find ourselves in right now. You know? Somebody is flopping over here. None flop, sir. If I'm not allowed to flop, no one else can either. Them's the rules. Okay, are we ready to get our ass handed to us again? I certainly am. Okay, get out of the corner. out of the corner, actually. Hey, do you want to come here? Thank you. Oh, God. Okay. Heal up. Just that easy. You good? Stitch. Yeah, do that tuning thing. Oh, are we not getting a cutscene? Her. Last thing I remember of is in the central stratum. Thought I was gonna boop him. I mean, we kind of did. Went boop. Oh. No, JK. Okay. Oh, thank goodness you've come around, my lady. In my present state, I'm afraid I can no longer continue to protect you. But at the very least, I can escort you back to the city. Young Attuner, you have enabled me to carry out my final duty with honor. You have my gratitude. Yeah, bud. Hey, you got an unidentified transformer. Ooh, components that can be used to unlock and enhance Nola's abilities. Magic transformer developed by House Milius, highly proprietary. It is an essential component in the transformation mechanism of Nola's weapon. Okay. And now we can go talk to that little boy. Because, his sister's been returned to him. I mean, we don't have to do it right now. But that is a thing that we can do. And check on them. And just be like, hey, y'all good? And I'll be like, yeah, absolutely. Everything's fine. Don't worry about us. Ouch. That was a little rude. Okay, I do want to go down, but we haven't been over here yet. I want to see what's here. I should heal, and I should probably not do that right here. But that's okay. Fuck. Those guys suck a lot of nards. Oh, JK, Lido can just handle them like they're nothing. Good deal. Poison ribbon reduces the likelihood of being inflicted with the blaze, freeze, and shock status effects. It's an elegant ribbon, often spotted among the wealthier parts of society. How it found its way into the lower stratum is a mystery. Still, the ribbon is able to offer some protection from various kinds of magic. Cool beans. Alright, down we go. Oh, hello, secret. Homunculus expedition record. Beyond the gloom lies the hidden stronghold of House Frost, sworn enemies of House Milius. Known as the Tethered Steeple, it was once an enormous prison meant to contain the nation's transgressors. Search the shadows, for the place hidden by magic lies beyond the Shroud of Darkness. Yeah, no, I know about these. I've found quite a few so far. Thanks. Thanks, game. Got it. Alright. Whoa! We should heal. Seems kind of not great right now, you know? Nola, can you reach him? Thanks. Ouch. What am I? Okay. Sorry, it was like, what am I missing here? Because I've got the mini map and I can see it, and it was still gray. I was just like, I don't know what you want from me. Can I pause? Hold on. Here. Oh, can I equip stuff? No. I didn't think so, but I wanted to triple check. Key items. Oh my god. So many little notifications everywhere. Okay. Map. Yeah, there's not really anything else I can do. So going this way is the only option we really have available to us at the moment. Okay. Yay! Oh, we can enhance abilities here. Insufficient components. Unlock. We got the Vanquisher. Just a big fucking axe. Oh, that scythe looks cool though. I mean, I do love big heavy weapons though, so... hold on. How does this work? Do I have to equip it somewhere? Yes. Can I put that there? Oh, can I only do one or the other? I mean, I suppose that makes sense. I was just hoping that I could, like, get her to switch. Look at her go! Dang. All the homunculi here. Fates were decided for us by House Milius. And then the Frosts came along and gave us a new lease on life. Ooh. Okay. Would you like to elaborate? What a derelict place, the fumes have spared nothing. Before we go down... Oh boy, okay. There is a lot to look at and a lot to do. Well, their shields just kind of melt away now, and I love that for me. Okay. Oof. Yeah, no, the axe got some weight to it. I kinda like it. It's real slow. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, it's just a thing I have to get used to. Like, look at her. She's got heft. Yeah, it hits a lot of area. It's just, at this point, it is just a matter of me getting used to it. And I think that'll be fine. We just might get hit a lot while I'm still figuring axe out. I want to be greedy. Fuck. Man, got too close. I got scared. Okay, he goes for a while. Terrifying. Hey, can we not? Maybe? Jesus Christ. This guy's hit hard. Okay. So question, since we're what, an hour and a half into stream. And I might need to end soon-ish. I don't know, like I said, I'm very tired. I haven't really slept much at all the last week. But is this something we would be interested in seeing on stream? I asked this, hoping that everyone understands and realizes that I will also probably be playing on my own time. But I can absolutely start like a second save. I don't think I would mind that. Is that a thing we would be interested in? Otherwise, the option that we've got is I could... Oops, exploded. Is it nice to watch on stream? Okay. The other option is, while I play on my own time, I could just record. And, like, share it that way. Do we have a preference? I don't think it's too much work either way for me. Like, I don't think it's more work one way or the other, so it is just a, would y'all prefer streams or a YouTube series? It is a really beautiful video game, and it's like, we played Ender Lilies on stream, right? And like, I really enjoyed it, and y'all seem to really like it as well. So recording would be good too? Okay. We're gonna play a little bit more. We're not ending now, but just sort of bringing up the whole, hey, might end soon, because exhausted. But I just wanted to know if there was a preference, because I can try and make either work. But yeah, just wanted to check on that. I'm gonna try on nights where I'm not streaming. I am gonna try and sorry. Dude, backing up just a bit. Horrible. On nights that I don't stream, I am gonna try and like start recording stuff a little more regularly. Obviously, no promises. Things might change and be subject to just how exhausted I am. But it is a thing that I really want to do it. I was telling my dad the other day where I'm like, you know, I really want to stream and I really want to do all these recordings and stuff. Just life has been fucking horrible and not cooperative as of late. And so it's left me just like having a difficult time being able to do any of the stuff. But I'm going to make, I don't want to say like I'm gonna make more effort to do stuff. Like, I've tried. And I'm saying that like just to like let everyone know that I'm not just sitting here like beating myself up or like thinking that I'm not doing anything. But I am gonna try and like just make more just try and like make more time, or at least, oh please, oh no. Rude. Okay, don't jump on the platform, just zoom over it. Understood. Yeah, just gonna try and like manage the time that I have a little more carefully. Not that I'm being bad with my time, it's that other horrible people are taking my time from me. So I have to be a little more conscientious about what I am doing with the time that I have. You understand. You dig. But yeah, all that to say, I'm gonna make more of an effort to try and do some more recordings when I am not streaming. Because I don't think it's like, I mean, like, you know, recording stuff, it takes energy and effort and time. But it is a little easier than doing the whole stream thing in some regards. The commentary might just be a little more straightforward, just because, you know, I'm not chatting at you in the immediate. Okay, hey, we've cleared all this out. So, let's fall down. I'm really glad that Lilac doesn't take fall damage. That enemies do, but Lilac doesn't. Love that for her. Those springy little knees. She's got the baby knees. Control over homunculi is said to be similar to the magic of another time that was capable of manipulating the soul itself. A priestess of the ancient people who inhabited this land at one time is said to have taken control of souls in this way to grow her power. Seems this ancient sorcery can only be inherited through blood. It was desperately sought by the sorcerers of House Frost. That's about Lily, right? Like, that's first game stuff. Directly connected? Yeah, ankles of steel. Fucking children and their bouncy, springy joints. Couldn't be me. The abundance of magical resources excavated from the lower stratum yielded a bevy of anomalies, including but not limited to those that manifest the powers of heat and cold. Ever since, Land of Fumes has produced a number of arcane instruments capable of commanding fire. Be warned, however, for these are not to be wielded lightly, particularly by homunculi. Bevy's a good word. Eventually wears off, or we can jump into water if we get affected by the blaze status. Understood. Thank you for telling me what I more or less just read and assumed. Yeah. Okay. Oh god! Mick. Oh lord, it fills that gap too quickly. Excuse me. So sorry. Yeah. I gotta remember that I got Crow Boy over here. Nope, please face the correct direction. He gets rid of those shields fast. It is very helpful from a distance. I'm just bad at remembering that he exists. Sorry, bud. It's not you, it's me. I should probably go back to town at some point, huh? Just because I've got a lot of materials. Easy peasy. Not even a problem. What this? Grants additional relic slot. Device that facilitates the use of arcane instruments. Right. We can make one of those. Hence why I want to go back to the man. Okay, that works, but I don't want to use it just yet. What are you? Oh. I died. That's all that matters. Okay, I think mimics will have like wraps on the outside of their boxes. Am I noticing that right? I didn't really look at the previous ones. Those were all fine. Blighted dice. Gain plus 15% experience after felling an enemy. Die imbued with a magic spell that improves the holder's luck. Crafted in the lower stratum, it is among the rarer arcane instruments. I mean, that's a guy. That's a guy. Shit! Wrong button. There we go. Okay, yeah. Confirm. Mimics have wraps on the outside of their boxes. Okay. The other thing with the streaming versus recording question, I'd probably be able to record more regularly than I'd be able to stream, which would then allow me to just binge play. this game when I've got chance. Hey, we can talk to our friend. I need to remember to check that. My face is covering my face is covering the icon for that. You like when Birdman jumps out and starts blasting the wall in the wrong direction while you're doing a fight? That is my main complaint about Birdman with wings for wing in his butt wings. Is that, I mean, like, I get it. I get why he faces in the direction that I'm facing. But also, if he could just face whatever direction the closest enemy is on, that'd be cool. If Lovey isn't in town, she must have gone out by herself again. I think recording, you can get into a groove with that, and there are some games that narratively it might be easier to record to. Absolutely. That's one reason why I like swapped to doing the Worst Man and Revachol run for Disco Elysium to recording, just because it would be easier in some ways. I say that. I haven't played any Disco Elysium in recent months, although I've been emotionally working myself up to it. I just don't want to make Harry a fascist, but we gotta, and I hate that. I hate that I'm making the pixels sad again. But yeah, this one might be easier to do, and that way. I want to do Gabriel Knight as well, like the whole series for Gabriel Knight at some point, which I think I've got the first two. I just need to pick up the third, but like it's gonna be a while, so it's not like I have to rush to do that again. I've got a lot of like weird point and click like horror games that I want to get to at some point, which might just be easier to do as a recording, right? Yeah, it's just been working up the motivation to do it. Not even the motivation, just the energy. It's been working up the energy to do it, but I think I'm more okay. Like I'm in a better, I know what my energy levels are gonna be even when they're this depleted, so I think I can work around that a little more consistently. Before it was very much just like, I don't know what's going on or what's happening or where I'm gonna be with it, so but hey, it's not a good thing that I know where I am when I have none energy, but such is life right now. Yeah, point and click. Like I want to do 7th Guest and 11th Hour at some point. Maybe 11th Hour. We'll see how 7th Guest goes. Like I said, I want to do the Gabriel Knight series. I've got Harvester, which I've been meaning to play for like years. I just haven't. Got a lot of weird, particularly old point and click horror games, and I really like, not that it's point and click, but I really had a fun time doing Realms of the Haunting. And I know that there aren't any other games out there like Realms of the Haunting, which is a shame because there should be. But like, I want to do series like that again because it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. It's just, like I said, it's just been, everything's been kind of wild recently. Realms of the Haunting's so good. No, for real. I don't need everyone to play it. Like, if you get a chance to play it, do it. But hey, I have a playthrough of Realms of the Haunting if you want to experience it without playing it. No, like, it's genuinely such a bonkers video game, but like, in a really fun camp kind, I don't know, it's so good. It's so good. I would recommend people play Realms of the Haunting. It is on YouTube. I think most everyone here knows what it is, but there is, oh god, there's all my socials. I forgot that I did it individually. Oh, it's just 2 of them. Cool, great. I have a Tumblr. I don't use it very often, but link to my YouTube channel if you want to check out those. But yeah, it's in its own playlist, so you can just watch through it. It's a good game. It's really fun. Even with getting, like, there were a couple of areas that I got a little frustrated with, but like, it's so good. It's so good. Yeah. You're gonna check it out? Let me know what you think. Like I said, it's a very funny video game, but like, in a positive way. It's just very good. Yeah. I'd keep an eye on her when she was out looking for junk, but then she began sneaking off by herself. Levy, no. It's a first-person shooter with really good voice acting and funny FMV cutscenes and point-and-click elements. Yeah! Thank you, Fruity, for always, like, picking up the slack when I, like, am going on about a video game, and I'm like, this is really cool, and then I don't describe it in the slightest. Genuinely, thank you. Sometimes I just get hyped and just go, it's so good! And I can't get out of that. But yeah, no, it's really, it is fun. And like I said, if you get a chance to play it, would recommend. I have the version on Steam, which does work. It's a pain in the ass to record if you want to record your own series, just as a heads up. But it's one of the few games that, like, ported to Steam that actually functions. Although I believe it's on GOG, which will just work better because, you know, good old games knows what the fuck they're doing. So there's that. Realms of the Haunting, really great, would recommend. Yeah, Levy was sneaking off by herself. That's where we were. She knows to cut and run if she comes across any mutants, but she is still just a kid. And she's not the only one. Huh? Me? Alright. Oh, we can keep talking. Let's... Hold on. I do want more experience, so let's go ahead and equip that. Nope. Already rewatched John Wolf's recent vid, so he definitely needed something to watch tonight, so this is perfect. Oh, great. Genuinely, though, let me know what you think of the series. Not just, like, of my presentation, but, like, of the game itself. Like, whenever it is that you get through some of it or all of it. If you get through all of it. If you don't, that's absolutely fine. It's very good, though. It's such a good game. Okay, those beyond saving. Good, thank you. I once heard from this, this from an attuner in Old City. Oh my god. Speaking, I once heard this from an attuner in Old City. Fumes from the lower stratum have seeped so deeply into the cores, the very souls of so many mutants, even attuners dare not approach them. Countless homunculi have turned into mutant in this manner. Doubt we'll be able to save them all. Fucking watch me, Nola. Alright, that being said, since we have found a save spot, and I don't know when the next one is going to be. Where are we in the map? Yeah. You know, we did pretty okay. It's been about 2 hours. And considering I got all of, like, 3 hours of sleep last night, I consider this a win. This is rad. This is so good. This game is so good. And it's so pretty. And the soundtrack is so good. And I really like the story. I think, did I cry at Ender Lilies when we finished that one? I don't remember, but I was, like, moved by it. It was just wonderful. I'm excited to do more of this. I'll do some recording for this. The next time I play, which might be a little more. Well, no, it's 7 o'clock. It's probably no more tonight. As much as I want to just play this all night, probably not tonight. Probably tomorrow though. And I'll keep everyone posted about when that goes up on YouTube, if and when it. Well, not if. Just whenever it does. Don't hold me to any type of schedule. Things are wild. You know how it goes. But yeah, I'll keep everyone posted about that. This is great. This is a good game, and I really like it, and it's pretty. And if you get a chance to play it, would recommend. If you want to play the first one, would recommend. Like, they're really good. It's like a really solid, like, Metroidvania experience, like, for for the style of game. It's really good. I like it. It's just delightful. But let's see if we have anyone online. Gooey is streaming still. Gooey is doing a collab stream tonight with a friend of theirs. Who I'm not familiar with, but we like Gooey here. Let's go say hi to them. I will attempt. Yeah, Gooey farming. Gooey's doing some Stardew. with Pokemon Blossom Pink. So let's go say hi to Goomy. I'm gonna try and stream this weekend. The attempt. Fuck you. I don't know if you can hear that, but my dad like walked in as I said I'm gonna try to stream this weekend, and he's like, lies, bruh. Get out of here. I'm going to attempt to stream this weekend. We will see with the sleep and the. I mean, y'all know it's the neighbors at this point. So, we'll see how that goes. I'll keep everyone posted. If I don't stream this weekend, like I said, I'm going to try to get some recording done. Might do both. We'll see. But for now, take care of yourselves. I appreciate you being here. And you're great. Thanks. We'll see y'all later. Bye, friends.